Hello, lords and ladies, to this episode of the Bionicle Inspiration Series, the show where we take a look at MOCs from across the LEGO community, the Bionicle community, and give you some ideas for some MOCs of your own. Hopefully this episode can give you some inspiration. So, let us dive in and let's talk about the very first MOC. Is a MOC built by Brick Diamond, and this is Axon. If you're watching this, I'm sure you know who Axon is. He's a very well-beloved Bionicle Titan set, known for his very large hands and his big old axe. And I really like this take on Axon. It's very different from the set. This one's a little bit more sort of slimmed down and very much more kind of knight-like, which I think is a surprisingly fitting adjustment for Axon. I don't know. I really like that idea, especially tying a specific character to a different sort of LEGO theme, making him more medieval. I mean, maybe you could build something like Gully, but she looks a little bit more like she's from Classic Space or something like that. Or, I don't know, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of sort of like theme sort of smashing together that you could do with Bionicles. So, I don't know, that in itself is a really clever idea. I like that. I don't think that was actually the sort of like original intention with this MOC, but it's still something you could get inspired by. Anyway, so I think the most noticeable piece on this is the helmet here. So this is from some of the old Knights Kingdom LEGO sets, which technically count as construction because there were the sort of buildable action figures for that wave as well as actual system sets as well. And some of those Knights Kingdom sets had brilliant knight-like pieces, whether that's the helmets or different like armor pieces and stuff. To my knowledge, unless I'm missing something and I'm just blanking out because this is a late night recording, I can only see the helmet being used on this MOC here. But hey, those other pieces are very helpful, especially for your knights and fantasy things. So take a look at those sets, and if you happen to have some of those pieces or you're looking to buy some pieces, definitely consider those. But this helmet piece is great, and I love the additional sort of like, ornate detailing at the top there with one of those sort of curved tile pieces there. It's very nice. It's almost a little bit sort of like Roman centurion of sorts. It's kind of fitting with the sort of like red in the color scheme, I guess. But I don't know, it's nice seeing some further additions that really sort of enhance the helmet there. It's cool. It's really clever. I also quite enjoy these two sort of shield Ninjago pieces that almost sort of look like some like detailing or like the where you kind of clip on a cape of sorts. Not that he's really got a cape, but kind of reminds me of that. But even still, he's got pretty looking armor with details on it. So these shield pieces came on some Ninjago sets. They're like a D&D wave of Ninjago, essentially. And I don't know, they're nice. I love seeing little kind of printed elements or minifigure accessories and things on Bionicle MOCs here because, I don't know, just that hint of printing, that hint of something nice, that little pop of detail there. It's just cool. It's cool. It really brings out the MOC. Like, sure, you could take those off and it would still probably look pretty nice overall, this MOC, you know. But, man, that goes a long way. Just that little subtle hint like that. So, you know, maybe when you finish your MOC or while you're working on it, take a look through your minifigure pieces. Take a look at some of your printed elements and stuff. Or even your stickers and things like that. And just see if those little details like that can really just sort of bring it out even further and just be the nice little finishing touch or the nice little hint of detail that just really makes your MOC sing, you know? It's cool. Some other nice cloth elements here, specifically like on the waist, that look really pretty. But one detail that I really like, you might have noticed it already, the feet. They're very tiny. I don't know if they necessarily fit atomically with this MOC, but who cares? It looks cool. But what I love is the little stand that he's got. So if you take a look, you can kind of see that little trans-clear piece. These originally came on a Toy Story set in green, but then were released in a Lego Movie set in trans-clear. And it was meant to represent the fact that they'd been craggled, they got the super glue all over them, reminiscent of the scene in the movie. And I love the idea of using that as just a little quaint, simple stand on this MOC. Because, full disclosure, I'd saved the images for this episode, I got all the stuff ready, and then I had to go to Melbourne for a business thing, and I am now recording this a few weeks after, and I didn't even notice that stand was there until now when I went to record. It's so subtle, it just blends in with everything, and you don't notice it. But the little hint of a stand there obviously would help this MOC stand up, because I think the fact that those feet are so small, it probably doesn't have a good time actually holding up its own weight. But little stand like that fixes the problem, it's easy. So, genius. I love the idea of using such a subtle, translucent stand like that that gets the job done, but you barely notice it. It's a subtle thing, but I think it's really, really clever. And, you know, if your mock is having trouble standing up, sure, you can build a whole elaborate base or something, but why not go something a little bit more subtle like this? It's really cool. So a very original take on Axon and a really cool mock. Let's move over to another fantastic mock. This one is by Ao Okononen, and this is Senior Wrangler. So he says, Wizard of the Senior Faculty of Unseen University on Sir Terry Pratchett's Discworld. So if you're familiar with that, this will be more exciting for you. So what I love about this is it's a cool wizard guy, because cool wizard guys are awesome. But I think there's a lot to love about this. His beard design right off the bat, I think, is one of my favorite details. Like, the whole sort of facial area is very well crafted. And I think I said this last episode, didn't I? Mr. Patron does a fantastic job with humanoid characters in general, but I think he adds so much like life and character to the faces of his characters as well. There's some beautiful part usages here on the beard, specifically using the... it came on like Commander Cody, it came on Stormtroopers, it came on most Ultra Build sets, but came on those in white specifically, these sort of shin pieces here. Yeah, using that to sort of form the beard, and I love how he's kind of used the knee part of that to be sort of more like the kind of facial hair area, and sort of kind of mimicking the rough shape of like the chin with facial hair over the top of it, and then sort of flowing out into a larger beard. Fantastic part use there. I love how that looks, and it's great to see it in conjunction with some larger flexible like tooth pieces or claw pieces, and then there's even some more flexible tooth claw pieces being used to form the hair in conjunction with some other sort of like slope brick pieces and things. So I love that. I think that's really cool. Just all of that together like that forms some brilliant looking facial hair and some very clever part usages as well. It's awesome. He's got a pot belly. I like that. We need more mocks with pot bellies who are a little bit, a little bit more plump, and they enjoy their food. I like it. I like it a lot. So always good to see unique body shapes and things, because everyone's beautiful no matter what shape and size they are. Just like this guy here. I love it. Even his belt's pretty cool too. Just that little subtle hint of yellow there works surprisingly well. Speaking of food, I love the fact that he's got like a plate and cake and a nice little drink with like a little lemon on the side or something like that. Awesome. I love little accessories like that. That's so much fun. Definitely build some like food and drinks for your mocks. What a great idea. Some other stuff that I like about this is the shoes. Those are fantastic. Big old pointy ends there. Just wonderful and weird. I love the idea of just building more goofy clothing and attire like that for your mocks, for your characters. And even his baggy pants, that certainly makes sense for medieval characters, because that's sort of, depending on what attire they're wearing, that was pretty accurate to the time. But hey, why not give your mock some weird, baggy, fancy-looking pants like this? It's a very clever design and some nice shaping to it, of course, as well. So a gorgeous mock packed full of character and some very clever techniques as well. It's awesome. The final mock now, this is by Matt Goldberg, and this is Scales Squire B.A. Cronsticator. Really cool. I love the idea of a knight-like character, but also a crocodile. I've kind of touched on this before in recent episodes. I love the idea of kind of mixing things together or adding some sort of like quirky, fun element to a mock just to make it just that more interesting. Because, yeah, it could be cool to build a knight, but what if he was also a crocodile? Or, yeah, you could build an Egyptian god, but what if he was like a baby and half crab? Something weird like that. I don't know, just sometimes just going a little bit more goofy and not taking the mock as seriously can make it really fun and enjoyable. And sometimes taking the mock incredibly seriously and having him be a cool edgelord with the blade that his ancestors made and a necklace and he's got a hood and he's so cool and he's murdered so many people, bruh. Sometimes that's also just as fun. So there's the two different spectrums that you can play on there. But yeah, it's certainly cool, isn't it? Either way. So the head design uses a few different pieces here. So the bottom jaw piece is from one of the old Chima Ultra Build sets, specifically Kragger, but there were two different versions of him. So that is the bottom jaw, and then the top jaw is from one of the old Speedors sets. And it's cool to see the two partnered nicely together because they both very much are meant to look like, crocodile head pieces. but they're from 2 different sets, but the same theme. So putting them together like that is a wonderful combination. And then adding some additional eyes and the nice little helmet over the top there. Great way of kind of customizing a crocodile head there and making it look really cool. It's really nice. I love how many of these dish pieces are being used here, because there's one on the belt, there's some on the hands, there's some on the shoulder armor, there's even some slightly smaller dishes on the helmet as well. It's everywhere. I don't know, it's nice to see so many repeated across the MOC just to sort of have everything blend together. But it's just a nice little part use there, and when you blend it in with some other silver pieces and some armor pieces and some Knight's Kingdom armor as well, like we were talking about before, that's also been used on the head there. It just works well. So take a look at some of your dish elements, because they work pretty nicely on your Bionicles, so very cool. The axes are, I think, a very appropriate and fantastic weapon for him too. It certainly fits that more sort of rugged and rough crocodile look. So hey, if you're thinking about a weapon for a character, think about how it could sort of represent their personality in some way too. Or, I don't know, just what seems fitting for the character. You know, like this Mock would look a little weird if he had a gun, but it also could look kind of cool. I don't know, it's up to you. I love too the inclusion of this little flagpole at the back here with the well, it's a Chima flag piece from one of the old like Chima Battle Pack sets, which are really cool sets, and it's an even cooler looking kind of flag of sorts. So yeah, I don't know, I just like that little detail, especially in the photography here, just to give it a bit of context and just put a nice little detail with it. Like, yeah, he looks fantastic on his own, but the inclusion of him with the flag just paints a nice picture. It's really cool. So yeah, I adore this MOC, and I think I adore all the MOCs in this episode. Some really cool ones today. So thank you to all these fantastic builders. There are links in the description to all of the MOCs that you saw today, so check out some of the other stuff these builders have done and let them know what you think of their stuff. Additionally, in the description below are links to my own social media, so you can check out what I've got going on over there if you're interested in doing so. And if you'd like to see some of your own MOCs featured on the Bionicle Inspiration series, this is the submission email. It's on your screen right now. So, hey, you know, if you've got something you want to submit, send it to the email, put whatever information, pictures, or whatever that you think is important, put in that email, and I'll do my best to feature it when I can. Thank you very much for listening. Happy building. Bye for now.